What is up, everybody? It's Victory Monday. What is up, faithful? It is Victory Monday. I figured I'd save you from this Monday night football game, Steelers and Colts. Let's talk Niners. We got a dub yesterday. Let's go. Nia Perez, Irvin, Pac-Man, Michelle. What's up, everybody in the building? Bang, bang, Niner gang. Nia says, I love the NGN stream today. It was dope, man. They hit me up. Wayne hit me up, says, you want to do a show? I said, let's do it, baby. So let's get it. Victory Monday. I'm happy. The Niners won. You know what? A lot of people saying it's an ugly win. It wasn't pretty, whatever. It was a gritty win, and a win's a win. Sometimes you're going to win those pretty, ugly games, and you escape. And those types of games win, build character. So at the end of the day, was it the best win in the world? I mean, it wasn't the prettiest, but it was a gritty win. And again, that's the type of game that you can learn a lot from. And the Niners have had a lot of those. They've won 4 straight. They keep the streak rolling. Second half, again, shutout. A shutout in the second half for the 4th straight game. They haven't let anybody score on them in a long time. I mean, the Chiefs game, they came out and they got beat down pretty bad. And I think they really took a lot from that game. They learned their lesson, and I think they realize, hey, we got to really shore up and make these adjustments. And I know it came at a cost, and Brendan says it came at a cost. Let's talk about that a little bit, because there was a lot of news today about the injuries and everything. Christy, thank you. Great show with Breezy and Mose. Good stuff, man. I love them. So it was always fun hopping into their show. But, yeah, there was some injuries today that Kyle Shanahan reported on. After the game, a couple players were hurt. The biggest one, and we got to get right to it, was Elijah Mitchell, MCL sprain on the opposite leg that he had the first week. And I was a little worried at first yesterday when I heard the, MCL sprain. Oh, my God, sorry. Give me a second here. I haven't been coughing all day, and now I get live, and all of a sudden I'm having like this cough attack. So I don't know what to do. Elijah Mitchell, he had MCL sprain, and unfortunately he's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. That's rough. That's tough business, 6 to 8 weeks. I feel like it's a unfortunate situation for him. Like, he just can't stay healthy. 2 straight years, and he just cannot stay healthy. But in the meantime, we got a guy named Jordan Mason, who I think that will be able to step up and play well. Jordan Mason made the most of his opportunities so far this year. Undrafted guy, and he just runs very tough through those holes. So I like what I've seen out of Jordan Mason. The other issue, though, is Christian McCaffrey's dealing with some knee irritation. He's got some knee tendonitis, and he's going through that. They're going to be very careful with him this week. He probably won't practice. They're going to be day to day with him. And, Christian McCaffrey might, again, miss some time in practice, but I think he'll be able to play this week. And that's kind of an issue there. So TDP, he might get a call to play this week. Who knows? Or Tevin Coleman, right? Tevin Coleman might get the call up from the practice squad. So they have some depth at the end of the day. It does suck that they traded Jeff Wilson Jr., right? And we'll talk about him later. That was a business decision. They kept Elijah Mitchell. Fuck, man. They kept Elijah Mitchell over Jeff Wilson, and right now that decision isn't paying off. So it is a little unfortunate. But TDP and Mason, 2 young guys that can step up, and hopefully they can play their part. Other than that, Spencer Burford left the game yesterday with an ankle sprain, but Kyle Shanahan says that he has a chance to play this week. So it must not be a really bad ankle sprain. Maybe he rolled it they'll kind of monitor it this week, be limited in practice. But Spencer Burford did roll his ankle. He sprained it. One good thing about that is they have Dan Brunskill who could play right guard if Spencer Burford can't play. They've been rotating. So Spencer Burford, if he has to miss this week, they do have Dan Brunskill. So the other injury, they talked about Arik Armstead. He's going to come back to practice Wednesday, and he's on track to play this week against Miami. That's huge news. Absolutely big news for Arik Armstead. I don't know if he's going to play 100%, but he's going to practice, and they're going to really see how good he is in practice this week. They said last week he had a good practice. On the opposite side, for the Miami Niners, for the Miami Dolphins, that it's Teron Armstead, their all-pro left tackle. He's going to miss this week, probably a couple weeks with a pec injury. I think he pec strain or a tore pec or something. He's going to miss some time. That's a big issue for the Miami Dolphins. He's a really good left tackle. Nick Bosa and his D-line are going to go and get a lot of pressure on him, on Tua, because one of the ways to beat the Dolphins is got to get pressure on Tua, and we'll talk about that later. But big time injury for the Dolphins, Teron Armstead. We'll talk about it though. And then the 49ers did make a move today, a roster move. They signed a cornerback, veteran cornerback, Janoris Jenkins, former Pro Bowler. He's a veteran. He's been in the league for a while. I know he's 34, but good veteran depth. He can kind of teach these younger guys. I don't hate the move. I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of players that you could bring in at this point for depth. You don't want to bring in Norman. You don't want to bring in Dre Kirkpatrick. Jenkins has been around the league for a long time. And again, just in case of an emergency, if something happens down the line, you're going to need someone to come in and play. So you never know. This is towards the end of the season where players might get hurt, and you need to make sure you have players that can come in. And he's a vet, and he could kind of pick things up and play on the fly if he has to. I don't think he'll play this week, but he'll get acclimated onto the roster. And again, it's a guy that can come in and maybe learn something, learn the offense or the defense really quick and help him down the line. But Jenkins has been a good player through his time in the league. And I'm happy to see that they added some depth. Again, he's on the practice squad. We'll see how things go because you never know. They might need a guy to come in for injury, something like that. So have we talked about the latest injury report news? That's what we're doing right now, Kevin. We just talked about MCL sprain for Elijah Mitchell. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. We talked about the 49ers added Janoris Jenkins, cornerback, veteran to the practice squad. Don't think it's a bad move. Solid depth. Again, there's not a lot of players you could probably get at this point in the season. He's played in the league for many years. He's 34 years old. I think he's definitely a solid player that you can add. And again, he's a veteran, so he can teach these younger players a thing or two. And that's what it's about. When you get a player this deep in the league, in the season, you need a guy that can maybe teach some things to younger guys. And it's good to have a veteran instead of a young guy that, would have to really learn the ropes and stuff. Spencer Burford, like we said, ankle sprain, but he might play this week. Armstead should come back to practice this week, and they're looking for him to come back. Christian McCaffrey, he had his knee got irritated. He has some tendonitis, but they're going to be very careful with him this week. And Jimmy Garoppolo, just soreness of the knee, no major injury. So thankfully, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have any big injuries. That's very good to see because Jimmy Garoppolo, man, he took some hits. Thank you, Christy. Yeah, I still got that cough. It's been bothering me, but trying to push through it. Sometimes it's worse than other times. So, but yeah, let's talk about yesterday's game real quick. Obviously, we've talked about it a lot over the last couple, since last night. I'm sure you've heard a lot of other people talk about it, so we don't want to drag it. But, definitely a tough, gritty win. The Niners defense, man, they are so elite. Defensive line, unbelievable. They could have been a little bit better. They didn't get as much pressure as they thought they could get. But when it mattered most, they got the pressure. Like Nick Bosa, that 4th down sack, big-time play. Charles Menahu played good again. Those two guys have been really balling. Samson Ebukam had a quietly good game, underrated game. Linebackers were unbelievable. I mean, Fred Warner flying all over the place. Best game of his I think he's having the best season of his career. You got Drake Greenlaw, man, playing at a high level. Aziz bringing his intensity. So definitely good to see those linebackers playing at an amazing level. And then the safeties, especially Talanoa Hufanga, that guy is a playmaker. Every week, he makes a big-time play, it seems. He makes a big-time play on a weekly basis. That guy is a star. I love Talanoa Hufanga. This guy is a turnover machine. He has a knack for the ball. That guy's phenomenal. I love him. He makes another huge play. And then you got, again, Dre Greenlaw just tackling like crazy. I mean, they made Alvin Kamara like nothing. They took him out so bad. They neutralized him big time. They were hitting Kamara like nobody's business. So Rick G says that was not a hold on Kittle. Some questionable calls. Definitely a big time. The Mitchell run, he got called back for holding on Kittle, but they still scored on that drive. So really wasn't the worst that could happen. I mean, yeah, it sucked to see because you wanted to see the touchdown, but they did score on that drive. So it wasn't the worst at the end of the day. So the Niners did end up scoring on that drive. So Saints defense, I think a lot of people underestimated the Saints defense because that defense was really, really, really good. They got a solid D line, Cam Jordan is a beast. He's always has been. Got some great players on the defense. So they came to play. This was a big game for them. I know they were 4-7, but they still have a chance in that garbage division they're in the NFC South. So they still had a chance. They were fighting, and they brought their A game, man. That defensive line was coming at the 49ers offensive line like crazy. They were just running through. Jimmy had little to no time to throw. I mean, geez, man. He was getting hit so hard. I don't know how Jimmy got rid of the ball sometimes. So I got to give Jimmy a lot of credit. Give him his flowers. That guy played tough. He stood through a lot of hits. And again, I got to give Jimmy his credit, man, because this guy was sitting there in the pocket. I don't know how he got the ball out. He was getting that quick release, made some dime throws. I know he wasn't perfect. He made some mistakes. He had a bad overthrow to CMC. He did get picked on one play, but it got called back. So luckily he got bailed out on that. But, man, he was taking some nasty shots. So got to give that man credit. O-line was not blocking well. So yeah, it was not blocking well, and Jimmy stood tall in the pocket to do what he could. He pushed the ball down the field a little bit, pretty good. It's just once they got into the red zone, I feel like there wasn't, there was a lot of inefficiencies. They got to figure out what can they do in the red zone to be better. Like, is it the fact that they're just too many weapons? Is it the fact that some of these guys can't separate? Are they calling bad plays? Or does Jimmy not have the trust of Kyle or something like that? I mean, Juwan Jennings, to me, should be getting the ball at least 1 or 2 times in every red zone trip. They should at least try to get him the ball. When you're on 10-yard line and lower than that, I think you got to try to get to Juwan Jennings because he's tall. He can go up and get it. He's probably the most, he's probably the biggest threat in the red zone for these guys. This guy can separate. He's a very physical receiver. I think they got to give him more chances because that red zone is kind of their Achilles heel on offense. And it's really frustrating to see because they get the ball down there. They get the ball all the way down there. They just can never punch it in all the way. So, but yeah, defense, man, they really bailed us out. A shout out to the defense. 2 red zone goal line stands. It's crazy. And then you got to think about that too. They had 2 goal line stands. So the 49ers offense was in really bad field position after those goal line stands. So it wasn't like they were going to drive the length of the field. But, man, that defense was playing so hard. They did not want to let the Saints score. They were not going to let them. They took a lot of pride keeping that shutout. It was insane. Like, Hufanga on that goal line play. Warner was making some big tackles. Greenlaw, man. And Bosa, I mean, they were just going at it. So, yeah, we smoking that loud Saints pack. Got me coughing. No, it's just been sick. I haven't been able to shake this, man. I don't know. Pray for your boy. I've been sick for 2 weeks now. I can't defeat it. I feel great. This cough, though. And now I'm talking, so it makes it worse. It's tough. I'm trying to drink this water to help me better, but it is what it is. But overall, man, you got to give a lot of credit to D'Amico Ryans. Again, he's been making a lot of adjustments overall in the second half of these games. So, gotta love it, man. D'Amico's going to be a great coach wherever he goes to next year. I don't think we're going to be able to bring back D'Amico. The guy's putting up together a phenomenal resume, and this defense is just lights out. Again, they don't even have Manuel Mosley. I wish they had Manny Mosley, but they're doing as good as they can without, their big star up in the cornerback spot. And then no Arik Armstead. He hasn't been playing either. So yeah, it's been nice to see though. D'Amico's a phenomenal player, phenomenal coach. He was a phenomenal player. Now he's a phenomenal head coach, defense coordinator. He's going to be a phenomenal head coach. So gotta love it. Gotta love it. Yeah, performers. You know what thing though is, do I see Mr. D? Do you see Twitter calling Debo overweight and kind of crazy? Dude, the comments everywhere have been insane. You know, so Debo called out Raheem today. Let's get to that. Yeah, I've been taking a lot of tea, having a lot of cough drops. I think it's because I'm just talking now and I don't have any of that stuff. If that's what it is, because I don't have tea and all that stuff right now. If I was doing that, I'd be fine. But that's why I haven't been streaming as much and going live as much, because it's hard to talk. But y'all want my thoughts, so here we go. Anyways, oh man, what was I going to say? So let's talk about the Debo situation, right? And the Dolphins situation, because we already talked about the Saints. Saints, we beat them. I'm glad we did. We got them. We hit them in the mouth. We shut them out in the second half. We're the only team that's been able to shut out the Saints. The last 4 games they've been shut out up in the 49ers. This year, 2002. 2002 is the last time they were shut out before last night. 1998 and 1997. The Niners owned the Saints. I remember when I was a young kid, Saints were in our division. Some of you guys don't even know that. Saints were in the NFC West back in the day. It was way different. Saints were a rival. They were in the NFC West. It was crazy. I remember that was a heated rivalry. We hated each other. And I remember I had this math teacher in high school. She was a big Saints fan, Miss Burnett. Big Saints fan. Me and my best friend Moose, we were Niner fans. We'd always wear Niner stuff, and every time, and she had all the Saints stuff in her classroom, and we used to always talk trash to her. Every time the Niners would play the Saints, anytime they played them, even if we weren't in her class that year, we'd always go by her room. We'd piss her out. We'd talk trash. She hated it. We were like, yo, F the Saints. Oh, we'd give her all this crap. But man, oh man, Saints were a rival back for the Niners for years. And I'm glad we got that dub. We owned them last night. It was good. Just kicked their butts on defense. So physical. So, but yeah, it's good to see. It's an old rivalry. I'll never forget playing the Saints when we were younger. But now we shift gears and we go to the Dolphins. The Dolphins, man, they've been talking some stuff, right? What's up, hey, Peter Parker? Let's talk about these Dolphins, man. The Dolphins, specifically Raheem Mostert, man, talking a lot of stuff, saying, hey, this team is better. We got more talent. They rushed me back from injuries. Oh, you guys know what he says. He says, we got a quarterback that can sling it. And then he tried to go on Twitter and kind of backtrack. Well, I didn't say anything bad about Jimmy. I was trying to gas it. They left out the good stuff I talked. Whatever, man. You went out and backtracked, bottom line. And then Debo says, when Debo called him out, I knew it was game over. I was like, uh-oh. He says, Raheem, be real with yourself. He used Raheem's first, he literally went out and says, yo, Raheem, be real with yourself. I was like, oh my God. And then, Charles Amenahu tweeted, someone's thinking they're going to run crazy on our defense is funny. Yo, they got these Niner players fired up. The Niners don't usually do this on social media, but when they do, it's personal. You got the Niners fired up, man. You got them fired up. I'm telling you. What's up, J Real? The Niners are fired up. You can't get this team pissed off because they are so physical. And it's going to be a battle. You got Mike McDaniel. He wants to go out there and beat the Kyle Shanahan. He wants to beat the brakes out of him, his teacher, whatever you want to call him. They've been coaching together for every year since they were both in the league. They were together. And they have the same coaching tree. They learned from Mike Shanahan and all the other guys on the McVay, whatever, the whole coaching tree there. Mike McDaniel wants to prove himself, right? That he doesn't need Shanahan. And that's one of the reasons he became a coach, and he's proven himself. Yo, I'm a good coach. I know the X's and O's. I'm a good scheme guy. I'm a genius too. It wasn't just Kyle. Obviously, he bought a lot of players. He had a lot of money. He did what he had to do. Put a good team around Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and all the other players they signed. Took a lot of players from the Niners, but that's what you do. When you go to a new team, you associate yourself with people that you're comfortable with and establish your team, right? So I don't see anything bad he did there. But, man, Raheem Mostert, the fact that he's coming out talking all this stuff, man, he wants to smoke. So Raheem, and he was hurt this week, and he was talking about how the Niners, again, rushed him back from injury, he had I remember when he requested the contract extension, he wanted more money. It was like a guaranteed money issue. He wanted more. And the Niners gave it to him after he stomped his feet on the ground and tweeted and all this stuff. And it was like, whoa, out of nowhere. I mean, I know he had a great 2019 and he had a great playoff run and he deserved money. But the way he went about it was kind of like, okay, bro, let's come on now. I'm sure they had talks behind the scenes, but maybe he just wasn't getting his way and he had to do what he had to do, right? So he got the money and then he didn't play a lot because he got hurt, unfortunately, And he said, the Niners should have rushed him and this and that. And, he shut himself down on that last year because he wanted to get surgery. I don't know if they're Russian players or whatever, but as a head coach or, a training staff, you're going to ask the player, how are you feeling? How are you doing? That's just normal part of the game. Do you feel like you're ready? So I don't know if he took those as they're trying to rush me, but whatever it is. Whatever the case is, Raheem, man, he kind of threw shade at him on this report, right? Saying how, they rushed me, this and that, and I try to get my body to the right position it needs to be. And now he's hurt in Miami. Like, yo, bro, you had the same problem your whole career, and you're trying to blame it on the Niners. Like, he's basically blamed the Niners for him getting injured. Like, oh, they rushed me back. That's why I'm hurt, right? Well, you're on the Dolphins, and you got hurt. And now we know the Dolphins are under investigation. For a couple weeks ago, they had Tua, right? He got a concussion, and they made him play. We all know the whole situation there. And you're talking about how the Niners are a team that rush people back. When you literally are on a team with Tua, who got rushed back from a concussion, you guys made him play. I don't know, man. I feel a little, that's the way. I feel a little certain way about it, man. I mean, I used to stick up for this guy. The players stood up for this guy when he was getting hated by the fans and people was talking trash. Debo came out. He went on live. He was tweeting like, yo, you guys got to give my man some respect. Put some respect on Raheem's thing. Like, he went to town for this. A lot of the players did, but Debo specifically went to town with this guy. He like put his neck out. He stood up for this guy. He stood up for Raheem. And then so when Debo came out today and he tweeted, "Be real with yourself," that's when I knew, like, yo, okay, Debo lost respect because this guy Debo, he went to war for Raheem. Like, that was his bro. That was his guy. Like, when you're family, you're family. And we talked about this on Nothing But Niners. Like, when you're family with someone, when you're a player, teammate, and you go to war with someone, right, you're gonna stick your head out for them. You're gonna battle for. But if you got another situation, you go to another team, whatever the case is, and then you turn your back on them low key and you start talking about them, that's just disrespectful. That's tacky behavior. I feel like it was tacky behavior for Raheem, and he's in for a bloodbath, man. I think that he should have not have opened his mouth like that. And I get it; it's all love. They're gonna do their jersey swaps. It's gonna be whatever for the cameras. But, behind the scenes, man. Behind the scenes, he done messed up. We'll see if he plays this Sunday. I don't know. He didn't play this week. He had a knee injury. I don't know if he's gonna play this week. And we did talk about this too on Nothing But Niners. Like, if he came out there and he said all this stuff he had to say, and he doesn't play, and Jeff Wilson has to take all the pressure and all the heat, bro, the Niners are gonna come and put all that beating on Jeff Wilson. I feel bad for Jeff because he didn't really say anything bad. The article made it sound like they both said something bad, but I read it. Jeff Wilson basically talked about the business side of the game, how he knew it was a business. He was the third string running back. It's not what he wanted to be. He should have spoke up, yada, yada, yada. Again, he knows it was a business. Niners had to make a business decision, and so did he. So I don't have any bad feelings towards Jeff Wilson. Wish we would have kept him 100%. I wish we would have kept the guy. He's a phenomenal player. And with Elijah Mitchell's injury history, they might have picked the wrong guy. But, I mean, Jeff Wilson had some bad injuries, too, his career. But they stayed with him. They stayed with him. And, they gave him a chance. They gave him a lot of chances. They kept giving him a second chance and third chance. And I think Wilson wanted to, keep sticking it out with them. He knew that they can play, he can play good for this team. So he did. And then it came to a point where they had Elijah Mitchell, and they were going to keep him because he's younger, he's cheaper. He's on a rookie contract, undrafted as well. So again, it was a business decision. So I got nothing bad for Jeff Wilson for what he said and everything. So he's on a team that's very similar to the Niners, though. So they did him a solid. They put him on a team where they knew he could succeed, right? So it is what it is with that situation. But yeah, but Raheem Mostert, man, just don't like what he did. Just don't like what he said. But again, we'll see how it goes. I hope he plays on Sunday because you can't be talking all that mess and then not play. You can't talk about all that mess and then not play. So yeah, I'm trying to get better, man. It's just frustrating. I'm trying not to cough, but then I cough. I just don't want to. I'm taking all this medicine. I'm definitely going to get a cough drop after this, but oh man, it's frustrating. All right, you guys drop some questions. I'll answer some questions here. I'm trying my best tonight. It's just frustrating. Yeah, I definitely got rid of those chills. Last week was even worse, but I just can't shake this stuff. What do I think about if Jimmy leaves signing Trubisky? I'm not a Trubisky guy. I wouldn't be too happy about getting Trubisky. Obviously, you need a backup. So if Jimmy does leave next season, which I think he is, because you can't, you got Bosa, you got all these guys, you got to extend and give money. I just don't see how you do it with Jimmy, because he's going to have a big. He's probably going to get a pretty decent contract, right? Especially the more he wins, they make it to Super Bowl, whatever the case is, playoffs. And Jimmy's going to get a decent contract. You know, he's not playing for pennies. He's 31. He's going in for a big contract. You know, probably last contract of his career. I don't know if the Niners are going to be able to afford that. So that's pretty much it. And you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, you got to take advantage of it. So you definitely got to get a veteran, though, when Trey's going to be your starting quarterback next year, especially for injury risks and all that good stuff. So, again, you got a lot of players to play. Jordan even says, look, are we going to pay Juwan Jennings? I would hope so. He's a very clutch guy. He's a third down machine, third and Juwan. It's a guy that you might need to bring back, right? He's a very reliable target. You'd want that for Trey. So I think you got to pay him. Again, there's a lot of players. Brandon Ayuk needs an extension. Nick Bosa is going to get a massive contract. You got Charles Omenihu, Samson Ebicam, Azeez Al-Shahir. There's a lot of players that are free agents. Emmanuel Mosley. You got to pay these guys, and the only way to do it is if you take advantage of a rookie contract, quarterback on a rookie contract. So I think Jimmy will be gone. He'll go to maybe the highest bidder. I think the Jets would be a team that would really look into it, obviously. Texans, maybe. They need a veteran quarterback, especially if they're going to get another quarterback in the draft and try to use him as a bridge. So it's going to be a lot of teams. I don't know if Jimmy would want to go to the Texans, but he's going to get a lot of offers that I don't think he was going to get this year because of the shoulder surgery. But he's showing that he's healthy, showing he can sling the ball, he can play. He's tough. He's a warrior. He's having his best season of his career. So we'll see. Yeah, I think Jets definitely are a big threat in getting Jimmy. I think they're a team that is very likely to get him. Got to take care of Bosa and then Azeez. Yeah, I think Bosa is definitely obviously he's the priority. I think Brandon Ayuk's the second priority. He's your wide receiver one. He's in his third year. He's trying to get that that Debo contract extension, and he's proven his worth. So I think Bosa and then Brandon Ayuk. Azeez, I would love to have him back, but they just signed Dre Greenlaw to an extension. So will they bring back, Azeez? I don't know. That's the tough thing. He did have some injuries, so maybe they'll bring him back because he may not have that big of a market because of the injuries. I don't know. He's still really good, so he might test the market out. Again, we'll see. But you got to realize they did give Greenlaw a big contract, so contract extension. So I don't know if they're going to have a priority on Azeez. They got to play it right. They got a lot of players to bring back. They have some really good guys on practice squad they could bring up. So it's one of those things. It might be a business decision. Just like losing DJ Jones this year. That was huge. Losing DJ Jones was massive. That was tough. You could tell the difference on this D-line. This D-line depth is just not they're not stout against the run right now, especially without Armstead and Kinlaw. So they definitely have to go out and get a defensive tackle. I don't know, through the free agency or draft or whatever the case. I think they'll make a play for a defensive tackle, especially that Armstead was hurt this year. We don't know if Kinlaw, whatever's going to happen with him, but they got to get a defensive tackle. They tried to get Ndamukong Suh, so it tells me that they've been really trying to hammer that hole right now, because that's something they really thought they were going to have a really strong interior D line, but injuries really hurt him. Oh, Peter Parker says he thinks Kinlaw gets cut. He might, man. That's unfortunate. They're going to keep giving him a chance. They're going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he was a first-round pick, and they don't want to take the L and look bad with it. But right now, it's just not looking good. His injuries have really, really, really been demoralizing. So hopefully he can come back and do something and prove himself. It's not a lot of season left. There's 6 games left. If they activate him off the injured reserve list, we'll see. Can he stay healthy? Can he give us anything down the stretch? I don't know. His kind of chances are very much dwindling. They're kind of slowing down. So we'll see what happens with Javon Kinlaw. I don't know. I'm worried about the guy. Definitely not looking too good for him. Jordan says, do you think Javon is gone after this year? I think there's a high chance of it. Again, I think they want to give him a chance because they do respect the guy, and they did take him in the first round, and that would be a huge L on their part. I mean, it already has been, but it'd be really, really bad if they get rid of him. So they're trying to do everything they can to make sure he's healthy and give him one more chance. But for him to be gone next year, there is a very likely chance that that's possible. So round 1, pick 14, actually. It was pick 14 because they traded back one spot. If you guys remember, they traded back a spot so they can get another trade so they can get Brandon Ayuk. So, oh, yeah. Hey, Peter Parker says, what do I think about the signing of Janoris Jenkins? We talked about that at the top of the show, but I definitely thought it was a nice little veteran move. I mean, there's not a lot of players left on the market at this point in the season. 6 games left. You need depth. You never know what's going to happen with injuries. Again, the Niners have been getting players back, but you just never know. Injuries can come up. He's a veteran that can kind of come into the roster and play if needed. He doesn't, need too much training out there. Just needs to get acclimated to the defensive playbook and the scheme and everything. And yeah, he's not bad. He's older. Obviously, he's 34, so it's not like he's a spring chicken. But I think he's a solid veteran that could come in and help him out and contribute and teach the younger guys. And also, too, they had Tashawn Gibson, who was a little older. Was he 32? They signed him in the offseason, and he's proved to be a solid player. So I think Jenkins could be good. I've always liked his game. I don't think he could be any worse than Josh Norman or Drake Kirkpatrick. So, yeah, my man, Kalia Davis. That's a good call. You guys remember him. He'll be back next year. He was drafted this year, 6th-round pick. He was a defensive lineman. That's kind of a redshirt guy they got for the future. He had to go through, he tore his ACL. He's been rehabbing through it. So that's a guy that they're going to be able to utilize in the future to be on the interior line. I don't know how much he'll play next year because next year will basically be his rookie season, because he missed it this year. So we'll see how much chances and opportunities he gets. Because he'll be learning, he'll be developing, it'll be his real first year with the team, but that's a guy to look forward to in the future. So, bring back Jimmy Ward. I think they'll try to offer him. I don't know if he'll take the offer. I don't know if he'll come back. I mean, I know he loves his team. He's been loyal to them. This might be the last year he gets a big, and a contract himself. I think he's going to test the market and see what is available. But this year was unfortunate for him because he did get the injury, and then the Niners threw him at the nickel cornerback, which is not his position. That's kind of not. That's kind of unfortunate for Jimmy. The fact that he's playing nickel corner, he's not good at nickel cornerback. He's not a nickel corner. He's not a cornerback. He's a safety. He's a really good safety. But the thing is, he's not getting to showcase his skills at safety in a contract year. It's kind of shitty for him. But he is doing what makes the coaches happy. And at the end of the day, teams might see that and say, oh, he's the ultimate team player. He's versatile. He'll do whatever, we want him to do. But he's a veteran, man. I feel like he should get to play where he wants, but it's a good defense. And Tashawn Gibson's kind of held his own. So, and they've had some issues at nickel, and they want Jimmy out in the field. So I get it, but it's kind of an unfortunate situation for Jimmy. I don't know if he comes back because he wants to play safety, and that's the guy that, like I said, he wanted to be. When he came back with the Niners and he signed that contract, he told them, "Look, I want to be on this team because I want to be a safety." So I don't know. I think Jimmy's going to test the market and he might not be back. Kind of a sad reality because he's been on this team for 9 years. Oh, it's going to be crazy. Jimmy needs to retire with the championship in the Niner. That'd be dope. If the Niners do get a championship, Jimmy Ward should hang it up, baby. Hang it up. Hang it up on top as a Niner, forever Niner. But I think he's going to try to get one more contract, and it may not be with the Niners. And I don't blame him for it if he leaves. It's going to be sad because he's been on this team for a long time, but it's a business. Jimmy Ward, respect, yes, sir. Jordan says, do we think we trade into the first round for a big-time player? I don't think they're going to trade into the first round. I think they're cool with where they have. I feel like sometimes going into the first round for this team is kind of like risky business, man. They overthink it. It's tough. The fans are going to go crazy. Like, I honestly am happy that they don't have a first-round pick for a while because they're hit or miss on the first round. They haven't really been, other than Nick Bosa, he's been the one that's panned out. Otherwise, I mean, the writing's still on the wall for Trey, and everybody else was not good. Solomon Thomas, Mike McGlinchey, he's been average. Reuben Foster. So we'll see. I don't think they're going to make a big move to get into the first round, though. Jimmy Ward, a Jet. I could see that. Yeah, we're good at late round picks anyways. Yeah, they're a lot better at late round. Man, they're so good at the late round picks. So we'll see. We'll see. But before we even focus on any of that stuff, man, we got the Miami Dolphins. It's officially Dolphins week. Big dub against the Saints. 49ers, 4 wins in a row, man. That's huge. 4 wins in a row. They were 3-4 at one point in the season. Can you believe that, ladies and gentlemen? 3-4. And now they're 7-4. 7-4. First place. Sole position of first place. Yo, shout out to the Raiders last night. Shout out to the Las Vegas Raiders for beating the Seattle Seahawks. Man, they put them in overtime. Josh Jacobs ran all over them, baby. All over them. Sheesh. Ran all over those boys. And the Seahawks fell a game behind us. Can you believe that? A game behind us. And the Niners are in first place in this division. That is amazing. Amazing. Listen, we got to keep it rolling. Nia says we got to please make it 5. I hope we make it 5 in a row. Gonna be a tough game. Then after that, we got Tampa Bay. Tom Brady. It's not gonna be easy. It's some tough games. But like Brandon Ayuk said last night, he said it's December football. And December football, you got to come out and play your bit. Like the first half of the season, yeah, you got to get some wins. You got to put yourself in good position. But from here on out, this is playoff level football. This is December football. You have to go out and play your absolute best. Your best of the best that you can play. This is it. This is it, man. And I love how, Ayuk was the one that stepped out. When Kyle said, yo, BA, you got anything to say? And he says, this is December football. That's Brandon Ayuk breaking out of his shell. He's mild-mannered. He doesn't talk a lot. My boy Brandon Ayuk doesn't talk a lot. Kind of a shy guy. And when Kyle called him out, he spoke up. Obviously, he's trying to get him to speak up more, and that's what I like to see. Brandon Ayuk has really broke out of his shell since he came in the league. Very quiet, very reserved. Kyle was tough on him, tough love, and he's really transitioned and he's transformed in front of our eyes. I've loved what I've seen out of Brandon Ayuk. I really do. He's been so amazing over the years. So good to see it, man. He's jacked too now. See Brandon Ayuk, that boy is jacked now. He been hitting that gym. Boy is swole. Man. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Good stuff, man. But yeah, this is the team, man. This is a great locker room. They love, they got a lot of love for each other. This is a tough team. They've been through adversity. You got some of the best players in the league at every position. You got Bosa, Warner, and Kittle, and man, so many great players. Trent Williams, dogs on this team, man. Just so many dogs on this team that it's hard for them. It's hard for me to really think that they're gonna lose, right? So yeah, Ayuk, man, the development is unbelievable, man. How his development has come across these last year, like you just see it. He was just a skinny, mild-mannered rookie. Now he's this yoked man of a wide receiver one. The guy is just phenomenal. So I love it. And it's Kyle. He's trying to make these guys leaders and captains. Like Ayuk never talks. He finally stepped up and said so. I was like, well, okay. And Nick Bosa, he's a captain. He's a leader. On Saturdays, Shanahan said it. He gives speeches every week on Saturdays. So Ryan says it's the best defense in the NFL, and they ain't even close. They are the best defense. But they got their hands full on Sunday because this is a match. It's a battle. I ain't going to lie to you. It's going to be a battle. This is definitely going to be a battle with the Miami Dolphins. They got a really good receivers. They got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Those two are phenomenal. A really good run game. They're the Niners with speed. They're the Miami Niners. They are legit the 49ers with speed at receiver position. Look at this. The 49ers, though. Defensive ranks. Points per game first. Yards per game first. Rush yards per game first. Yards per rush first. First down a game first. Pass touchdowns a game first. They're first in all those categories. The only category they're not first in, they're actually last, is third and short percentage. And that's because they don't have Armstead. They can't really plug that gap in the middle. But this defense has been lights out. Lights out, man. Peter Parker says not Kyle's best team, but looking like his Super Bowl team. It might be his Super Bowl team, but I don't know. This could be his best team. This legit might be his best team. Honestly, man, look at the offensive weapon. CMC, man. The guy's a money player. Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. You got Trent Williams. Now, the O-line, to me, has been an issue. Not always. There's been weeks where I'm like, man, this O-line's playing great. Overall, the O-line has been better this year than I thought it would be. But this last week against the Saints, again, the Saints have a really good defense. They got punked, man. They got punked. This O-line got rushed all over the place. Aaron Banks, I love him. He's had a good season. This was probably his worst game. He let up 7 pressures. And our boy Mike McGlinchey out there, lost, dazed and confused, lost. I think this team some of them might have stayed in Mexico mentally. They might have stayed in Mexico, but you got to give them, the benefit of the doubt. It was a short week. They had to travel to Mexico. That's not easy. Travel to Mexico, short week, not a lot of preparation. The practice schedule was a lot different, and it was the holiday, and they came in against a really tough defense. We're aiming for their knees. The Saints defense, man, they're some headhunters. I ain't even going to lie to you. I don't like the Saints, man. They're kind of dirty. But all those factors, I think, had a toll on the 49ers. Short week, holidays, not a lot of preparation. They were tired, man. That travel from Mexico, they got home like 6 a.m. from Mexico, man. That's rough. This team was definitely coming into this week at a disadvantage. So Ryan says Mike McGlinchey was on the most recent episode of Lost. And I hate always having to bring him up, man. Like, it's just like he makes good plays here and there, but then when he makes a bad play, it's like, come on, man. I can't keep defending. Like, his bad plays are just bad. And, like, he makes these weird penalties here and there. So it is what it is. It's unfortunate, though. But, it is what it is. Got a big game against the Dolphins. And, again, they're a tough offensive team. But if there is any weakness on them, it's their defense, right? I feel like it's going to be one of those shootouts. It's going to be a high-scoring game. 49ers offense has to do a better job of red zone because they got to score. They got to capitalize and take advantage of the opportunities they get. If they're in the red zone, they can't be shooting, scoring field goals. This is a team you got to score touchdowns against, right? So red zone, they have to be better. Niners have to score points to keep up with the Dolphins because they're going to go out there and they're going to throw it deep. Tyreek's going to get some big-time plays. Waddle's a monster. They can come back. The Dolphins could come back from, any deficit. They're almost like the Chiefs in that way where they can come back because they have such a high-powered offense. So, home game, though, which is great. 49ers have a lot of home games down the stretch, and this is going to be a home game. MG says, what jerseys we're wearing? We're wearing the home reds, traditional home red jerseys. So, home game, I'll be there. I'll be screaming my head off. I hope I'm feeling better by then and can scream. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my voice again. and we'll be back to having another rough week. But I'll be at the game. I can't wait. Dolphins, Niners. Let's get it, man. We'll see what happens, but should be a fun one. Tyreek and Mooney, former teammates, says Nia. Ooh, a little side just brings a little bit more spice. You got all the former Niners, right? You got River Craycraft, Trent Sherfield, Raheem. You got Jeff Wilson. You got the former coach, Mike McDaniel. And now you got former teammates on the Chiefs, Mooney Ward and Tyreek Hill. Ooh, is it supposed to rain? Oh, God, are you kidding me? I'm really going to get sick again. Killing me. They don't want to see me healthy. Yeah, Sunday, 50% chance of rain. Oh, come on. What jersey? I'm not sure yet. Let's see. We'll see. What jersey should I wear? I don't even know. We'll see. But anyways, I'm going to call it a night. My voice is killing me. I hope you guys had a good day. Let's get a dub this Monday. Let's get a dub against the Dolphins, but I'm happy we got the dub against the Saints. We held on. Again, it wasn't the prettiest game, but sometimes these games are good because you learn a lot from them. It's a gritty win, builds character. And hey, at the end of the day, if you win the Super Bowl, you're not going to sit back and say, oh, we really barely beat the Saints. You ain't going to say it. So it's good that we got a dub. I love you guys. I hope you have a good rest of your night. Let's go Niners. Happy victory Monday. Yeah, I am questionable for some. I'm questionable for every day lately. Not going to lie to you. I love you.